The women's soccer team fell yet again at home, and the men's soccer team will be featured in our game of the week. It's homecoming weekend, folks. This is #GriffSports. And welcome back to #GriffSports. I am Joe Rutigliano, and I'm joined at the desk by our favorite softballer, Tori Nappo.
Thanks, Joe. It's an exciting week for Canisius sports everywhere. We'll have the highlights from all of the action, including a look at the first conference games for the Valley Griffs and the women's soccer team, along with the trip to South Bend, Indiana, that the cross-country team took, and much more.
Yeah, and let's start it out by taking a look at the weekend that the women's soccer team had, trying to get back into the win column on the road at St. Peter's to take on the Peahens in their first MAC game of the season. And unfortunately, the women came up on the wrong end of a 3-1 decision. Freshman Savannah Jonathan scored her first collegiate goal for the Griffs, while Bridget St. Ledger had 4 saves between the pipes.
The women's soccer team would return home Saturday for their final non-conference game of the season, looking to top the Robert Morris Colonials in their game of the week. And unfortunately for the Griffs, they were unable to come out with a victory. Sophomore Allison Maynard would get the start at keeper for the Griffs, making 4 saves. And however, the Colonials' Greer Monahan would score her first collegiate goal as well in just the 9th minute. The Colonials would hold off Canisius' attack for the 1-0 victory.
And next up for the women's soccer team, they will host Monmouth on Saturday at 1 p.m. and then host Niagara on Wednesday, October 1st at 7 p.m. It'll be the first matchup of the Canal Cup this season. Last season saw the Griffs lose 1-0 at Niagara. Hopefully this year will offer a better result for the Griffs.
Hopefully. The 2 losses dropped the Griffs down to 1-9 on the season and 0-1 in MAC play.
And moving on to the Volley Griffs, who also had their first conference weekend of the season. They started off on the road at Marist. And given that the Griffs had yet to win a match, this was meant to be the weekend. Unfortunately, it would not be in Poughkeepsie. Marist would sweep the Griffs 3-0 as the Griffs struggled to get anything going, hitting just 15%. The Griffs dropped the first game 25-22, fall in the second game 25-21, and dropped the third game by a score of 25-23.
But on the good news, Sunday was a new day for the Griffs. In a matchup with Siena, they would get exactly what they needed, a victory. The Griffs would sweep Siena handedly behind some much better hitting as the team hit just over 30%. Leading the way for the Griffs was sophomore Caitlin Tyler with 15 kills for the Griffs.
And moving on to the cross-country teams, they headed out to Notre Dame to compete in the National Catholic Invitational, and what a day it was for both teams, as the women's team finished in 6th out of 36 teams, while the men's team finished at the top of the podium, topping Notre Dame by 2 points for the win. The men were paced by MAC Men's Runner of the Week, Jeff Anelos, and the women were paced by Catherine Phillips.
And the golf team finished out their weekend at the Cornell Invitational with a 13th place showing out of 15 teams. Sophomores Corey Cullen and Dave Birkin each shot a final round of 78 for the Griffs on the weekend.
And moving on to the men's soccer team, they stayed red hot as the team took down Robert Morris on the road 1-0. Andrew Coughlin and the defense once again came up big with the shutout for the Griffs, their second straight, as Coughlin tied his career high in saves with 6. And of course, the Griffs got a goal from their man up top, Asani Samuels. He scored the game's only goal off a couple of nice moves on the corner of the box, moving in for the near post finish. And the goal was Samuels' 4th of the season.
And the team moved to 4-2 with the victory and will take on St. Bonaventure on Friday at the Dembski Sports Complex at 5 p.m. The game will also be our #GriffSports Game of the Week. In Studio B, to talk about the men's soccer team and the Game of the Week is our Kyle Ferrara and men's soccer defender Ryan Schroen.
Thanks, Tori, and Ryan Schrain, center back for the Griffs men's soccer team, here with me now. And you guys are generating a lot of buzz here now. 4 wins in a row, coming back to play St. Bonaventure at home. What's the excitement level within the locker room like for this game?
It's really excited. I think we're all just gelling. The chemistry is great, so we're all just super excited for the next match.
What are the things that your coach has kind of talked to you about as you are starting out so strong? You want to carry this into this weekend and into conference play, most importantly, because 2 years ago, of course, you had a similar strong start but kind of faltered towards the end.
Mm-hmm.
So what's his message to you, and what is your mindset as you head deeper into the schedule?
His message basically is just to keep training and keep playing as hard as you can. We can't let any game be an easy game. We can't think it's an easy win or anything, and that's definitely going into conference too, because every game in conference is just as hard as any game of the season.
Defense has been a strong point for you guys, and you've got a new goalie this year, of course, in Andrew Coughlin. How well is he acclimated to the team? How well respected is he within the locker room?
Really respected. Great guy, great leader. honestly, as a defender, it's great to have him back there because I trust him as a goalkeeper. I know his abilities, and I trust those abilities, and I think it's really good for the defense to have that kind of person.
And obviously, it's more than just him. It's you. It's AC LaFleur. It's Alex DeCarolis, Tom Toypin. What kind of relationship do you guys have with each other that allows you to perform so well on the field?
Really great relationship. I think, honestly, this is our best year defensively yet so far, and all of us are just gelling. We really know our strengths and our weaknesses, so I think that helps a lot, that we know each other so well, we can play off each other.
Homecoming weekend this weekend, so hopefully there will be a lot of people around, a lot of alumni, and hopefully a lot of current students. Are you expecting a pretty nice fan turnout for Friday and Sunday?
Yes, definitely. I actually know some local people from back home that are coming too, so I think that mixed with the homecoming weekend with some former players that were actually on the soccer team, I think it's going to be a great weekend.
All right, Ryan Schrain, thanks for being with us. The Griffs versus St. Bonaventure on Friday, our game of the week. Be sure to be there and stay tuned for more on #GriffSports.
There was one day that we had just done the cardiovascular unit, in class that day. And then right after class, I went over to the Vascular Institute, volunteered, put the scrubs on. And one of the doctors asked me if I wanted to see an open heart surgery. And so I said, yeah,
really?
sure.
I came into Canisius as obviously as a freshman, not really sure what I wanted to do. I ended up taking a digital media arts class, and that really just kind of jump-started my career.
And I think being where we are in the city and in the world with the medical campus that we have here is really an opportunity that I wouldn't have anywhere else.
It's more than just academics. Meet different people. Go out and do things. There's so much more to college. It's an experience.
I instantly fell in love with doing video work, graphic design. I started pursuing more and more opportunities in the school, whether it was doing admissions videos on the sides. I did a couple videos for alumni relations, the president of the college, and then I actually got noticed last year, and they sent me over to the Philippines to create a feature-length documentary.
I lived with a host family while I took classes in Spanish with Spanish professors at the University of Oviedo, and I was a Spaniard for a semester, and it was the best decision I made as a college student.
And we are back here at #GriffSports, and there are quite a few events happening this weekend, given that it is homecoming weekend, as well as alumni weekend here in Griffland. What do we got, Tori?
That's right, Joe. Saturday will feature the women's soccer team playing host to Monmouth at 11 a.m. And then Valley Griffs will host St. Peter's at 1. Sunday, the Valley Griffs will host the Ryder Bronx at 1 p.m. as well. Throughout the weekend, there will also be alumni games for the following sports, both men's and women's lacrosse, men's soccer, and also women's softball.
So there will be some older but familiar faces around campus this weekend for sure, and I mean older in the nicest way, Christy Walensky. So don't take that too hard. Some interesting games. Now, talk about your experience with the softball team. You're going to play in your third alumni game. How excited are you for that?
I'm so excited because some of the girls I got to play with my freshman and sophomore year are going to be back, so I can't wait to see all of them. And yeah, we do a little brunch, we have a little game, and then we do a home run derby. So
are you going to win?
Oh, heck yeah. I'm going to hit a bunch out. No, but yeah, it's going to be a good time, and I think the weather's supposed to be nice, so if you get a chance, stop on out.
It should be a great day. The Bills aren't in town, so Griff softball is.
Yeah.
And then I know that the women's and men's lacrosse games, those games are on Saturday. Those should be kind of interesting. You like to see the old women's laxers come out.
Oh, yeah. Come out and show your support.
Yeah.
Wear your Griffs gear.
Always a good day to wear your Griffs gear.
Get a tan.
Once a Griff, always a Griff. Get a tan. It might be your last weekend to do it. So we're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, Kyle will be in Studio B with head coach Nate Huckle from the cross-country team, riding high off of the men's and women's finishes at National Catholic Invitational. We'll be right back.
That's low. That's low. Look, he's blushing.
Seriously.
Welcome into Studio B, hashtag Griff Sports, Kyle Ferrara, alongside Nate Huckle, head coach of the men's and women's cross country teams. And you're certainly deserving of some recognition now after your team's performances at the National Catholic Championship. The men, of course, first place. The women finished in 6th. And that's a great result for a program that 3 years ago when you first came in here probably wasn't thinking that they would finish that high.
Yeah, it is a drastic turnaround, a very quick turnaround. And, when I came in 3 years ago, I think the men had finished somewhere around 12th at National Catholic. The women were outside of the top 10 as well. So for the men to improve as radically as they have is, quite the turnaround. To win it 2 years later for me. We finished 9th the first year that I came in, and then this year we knew we were top 3 team going in, but to win the championship was very special for us.
When you were first hired here and you were looking at what you had, if you had an outline of goals, maybe the top 3 things that you thought in 3 years you'd have accomplished, have you met them?
Yes, I have, and that was part of what I set down for myself when I took over the program. Was I outlined a 5-year plan, and I've accomplished most of those goals already. The top thing was to increase the depth of the program. And we had some good athletes on the squad. We really did, and that's why the men have been able to turn around so quickly. We had a couple key players already here at Canisius. Chad Malloy was already here, so it was building around him. He was a state champion in cross country in high school. He's one of our top runners now and one of our captains. And so what I really had to do was increase the amount of talent and the depth of talent around some of our focal pieces. And that really overall, increasing the depth of the program was my biggest hurdle that I had to get over. The 10 years before I came here, we averaged 17 total between men and women on the rosters, and now we're up to 18 men and 18 women this year. So we've more than doubled the roster size of the program, and that's paying off with our results.
So that depth you've talked about, obviously, you spiked way up. On that 5-year plan that you mentioned, what were some of the other things past depth that you wanted to work on?
Past depth, I had some performance goals that I had for the teams. One of them was to finish in the top 3 at the MAC championships, and the men accomplished that last year by finishing 2nd overall, and we were ranked 2nd going into this season. And I really think that this is the year that the women are capable of pulling off a top 3 finish as well. It's going to be difficult. They're going to have to run very well, but we've got, again, the depth and the talent this year and the mentality that they can go out and run with the top 3 teams in the MAC.
I'll ask you about the women's team first because you were just talking about them.
Sure.
Who are the girls who you expect to lead the charge as they go out and try to secure that top 3 finish?
Really up front for us, one of our grad students, Catherine Phillips. She was a fantastic high school runner for East Aurora. She was a state champion in the 3,000. She's a Section 6 record holder in the 3,000 outdoors. And she brought, last year she came into the program as a senior and brought a lot of competitiveness to the team. And she brings a lot of fire, a lot of dedication. This year coming back as a grad student, she's continued that. She's in much better shape this year. And she's really a top-level competitor. So I think she could be vying for a top 5 to top 10 finish at Max, and so that's going to lead the charge for us, I think. Beyond that, we got Anna Phillips in last year as a transfer from St. John Fisher out in Rochester, and she's been doing great for us. She was our 2nd finisher at Notre Dame. And then, we've got Carlin Sullivan, who's really come on strong as a freshman this year from East Aurora. Jade Moody as a freshman this year from Homer is in our top 5. And then another graduate student, Jamie Wallace. She's been here this is her 5th year at Canisius. And she had some injuries early on, but we got her healthy, and now she's really starting to contribute to the varsity again, doing a great job for us.
And on the men's side, a few people might know the names like Jeff Antelos, Cooper Roach, Chad Malloy. What are you seeing out of those guys and everybody else that is allowing them to be so successful?
Chad's always had a great work ethic, and that's what's really fueled him from high school and into college. And now that is catching on. Cooper Roach, Jeff Antelos, they're incredibly talented individuals. And they finally last year decided that, if they were to work as hard as some of the other guys they saw around them and put in the summer mileage, that they would be able to race at the top level at Division I. they kind of came to that realization. And running is very intrinsic. You have to come to that realization yourself if you really want to reach your potential. And they've done it. And so now they're performing at that highest level. And so when they move up to that level, then the guys around them see that as well. So now we've got guys like Brennan Root, who came back this year as a sophomore and is in the best shape of his life. And he was our fourth man at Notre Dame, so he was instrumental. He beat Notre Dame's fourth runner, so he was instrumental in us making up for the fact that Notre Dame went 1-2 in that race. And then Mike Anvelt is our fifth runner. He's a great talent, and he's a junior, so he's got some experience under his belt, and he's got a lot of confidence this year, and he was able to shore up our top five for us. So it really is an entire team effort, and after them you've got a couple of guys, Travis Jordan, Xavier Savaggio, Chris Savaggio, who are really good at being those 6 through 8 runners and giving us the depth that we really need to compete at the higher level this year.
At the top of the interview, we talked about that 5-year plan. You're a little more than halfway through it now, and you've accomplished so much. What are the next things on the checklist that you hope to have accomplished by this time in 2016, 2018?
It's a good question. We always want to vie for a MAC title. That's something that I'm pushing the teams towards, and they have that set as one of their sights. Iona is a tough team to beat. They're a national powerhouse year in and year out. They finished 6th in the nation last year. 2 years ago, they were ranked 2nd in the nation. This year, I think they're ranked 12th in the nation at this point. So it's tough closing the gap on them, but we are closing the gap, and we're getting closer every year. And so my goal is to be as close to Iona as possible. And while we're closing in on that in the region or in the conference, then we're moving up in the region as well. This year, the men had a 12th place ranking going into the season for the Northeast region. And one of my goals for my teams is to consistently be able to finish in or near the top 10 in the Northeast region. And if we can do that, then we're a legitimate Division I powerhouse in at least the Northeast region here in Western New York.
All right, Coach, thanks for joining us. Again, Coach Nate Huckle, head coach of the men's and women's cross country teams, putting his own stamp of success on the program. Stay right here on #GriffSports.
And welcome back to #GriffSports once again. And we're going to wrap the show up. So I'm going to send it over to Tori. What do you got for us for our Golden Performer of the Week?
We have Katie Tyler from the volleyball team who hit just over 40% in the Griff sweep over Siena and had 15 kills to go along with her performance. So good job, Katie.
And that was big. The Griffs finally pick up a victory, and hopefully they can just keep on rolling. Now, at first we thought we didn't have a top play, but now we do. Let's check it out. Oh, that's not funny. That's
funny.
You guys
That's
are
actually
disappointing.
awesome. You should see what else he does when the camera's not rolling.
That's not even, okay. The things that happen when the cameras are rolling when you don't know they're rolling. So CJ Gates is getting a swirly after this. I'm Joe Retigliano for Tori Napo and everybody else here at #GriffSports. We'll see you next time.
See ya.